Hi there, Frank Thacker here, and welcome to the Daily Peacemaker. Um, Last time we talked about chaos theory and the idea that out of chaos, oftentimes, some good things can come. So a quick synopsis of chaos theory. You have a system, it's functioning on a fairly smooth level. Things are running pretty well. Things are getting done. Something happens either within the system or from outside the system, and it throws the whole system into chaos. Everything's spinning around out of control. At some point, there appears an attractor, they call it. It could be an outside force or even something within the system itself that tends to attract the system not only back into a cohesive, smoother way of running, but also a more effective, efficient way of running. So that's the whole theory. So from a smooth running to a chaotic situation to an even better, smoother running system. Quick example. Mom and dad and 3 adult kids, every holiday, let's say Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, I celebrated with mom and dad. Mom dies. The system goes into chaos. What are we going to do? How are we going to celebrate these? Where are we going to celebrate? Who's going to do what? You do this, take this day, you take that day. You can imagine the chaos that could result from that, where the siblings are fighting and dad saying, no, come here. I can hire someone to, we can call out for a meal. Another sibling saying, no, come to my house. And then someone says to that sibling, I don't want to go to your house. You know how to cook. It's be terrible. And on it goes. People, I'm not going to your house. Your dog barks all the time. My dog, whoa, what about your cats running around? You just could see the thing go crazy. And it goes on like that for a while until, let's say one of the teenage kids, grew to be a grandkid, says, he gets tired of it, or she gets tired of it. And they send an email out to the family saying, let's get together and talk about this. This is really ridiculous. And eventually the family agrees to do that. And long story short, they get things worked out. They come up with a plan that everybody likes, and the whole system moves out of that chaotic thing into a higher functioning, smoother functioning, nicer functioning. People are enjoying this new way of doing things a whole lot better. So that's a very simple, example of chaotic chaos theory. So let's jump to a really big system, namely humanity. And there are, I think I just read 8 billion pieces to that system. And the system is probably the best description that I can understand. It's a bunch of pieces working together to achieve a particular result, or maybe even more than one result. So humanity, it's a system. It can be looked at as a system. It's got 8 billion pieces, and it's definitely in a state of chaos right now, I would say. You look around and all there is chaos, people fighting, everything's spinning out of control. And there is a chart, I would call it. It's made by Integral Life and Integral Theory and Spiral Dynamics. And I tried to do this on a screen share and it didn't work out, but let me see if I can do it. Just flash it up on the screen here so people can see. So you can see it's attitudes of development. It's sort of a chart of how humanity has evolved over the years. So on the bottom there, it's red, and it describes each one. And that was about 250,000 years ago that they started doing this. And so we're kind of, it goes all the way up to really totally integral system. And we're probably somewhere in the orange green stage. So for people that are listening, can't see that, or if you want to get your own copy, if you go to dailypeacemaker.com, there's a drop-down list, and in the resource page, there's it's called Integral Theory Spiral Dynamics. Just click on that and it'll bring up this document here, and you can just download it. And there's a lot to it, and I might do a podcast on that, because I find it really helpful in understanding what's going on, both in the world and also within yourself. So we're at the green-orange level where, and that's probably been around for the last 150, 200 years. And one of the points is that when you look at a level, it's kind of where the center of gravity is for most humans. It doesn't, obviously there's bumps and bruises and all of the things going around the world, but in general, at the green and orange level, people are fairly rational. Truth is valued, science is valued. People tend to get along, they tend to respect each other. And the system, if you look back, excuse me again, over the last 100, 150 years, things were pretty smooth running. Yes, there were wars and calamities, but in general, compared to now, things are going pretty well, pretty smoothly. So then what happened? Where did this chaos come from? Was it something in the system? Was it something outside the system? You can look at things like the whole climate change, not whether it happened or did not, all that argument, but the fact that the environment is tremendous storms, hurricanes, snowstorms, forest fires, tornadoes, all that stuff. There's COVID, the spread of diseases in general. There's the whole issue with immigration. So those kind of, and from my perspective, causes one of the many things, or three of the many things that cause the system to go in chaos. And we're definitely in chaos now. So the question then becomes, can we move out of that chaos to a higher level of functions, which on this chart would be what they call integral, where there is a deeper level of connectedness between people, a deeper understanding of the planet on which we live. It's more about cooperation than competition. It's focused on people helping each other live a more productive, wholesome, safe life. And so, can we get there? I think we can. And let me spin it back to us, individual, everyday people. We're one of 8 billion pieces or parts of the system. So you say, I'm not going to do much about that. I'm not going to make much of a difference. And I don't think that's true, because there's this other thing that I'll talk about in another episode called the tipping point, which is when in a system, when a certain percentage of the pieces start to act in a particular way, the system then moves out of that chaos into a higher functioning. And it's not like 51% has to be to achieve that tipping point. It's a lesser percentage, I forget, maybe 10 or 20. So a lot depends on the individual parts of that system, namely you and I. So a couple of things that occurred to me as to what could we do. Well, for sure, one is inner peace, developing our own inner peace. And if you, let me put a plug in here. If you go back, I think episode 2 that we did is on inner peace, and there's some pretty good stuff in there, I think. So that's key, getting centered yourself, so you're not knocked into chaos with different things going on. I think another thing is listening. When you are talking with someone that has differences, really listening to them. Another plug, I think, episode 10, we did a podcast on listening, and you might want to listen to that. So that's, and then the other thing is learning to live nonviolently, which is a daily practice where we ideally grow less violent today than we were yesterday. And there's theories about living nonviolence and practices, and it's a real art. So a couple of things. So developing your own inner peace, really learning to listen to someone, seeking to live nonviolently today better than you did yesterday. So those are some things. The whole point, the main point is to have a framework out of which to operate. So chaos theory is part of it, that things will move from one level to another, but in order to do that, they often have to go through a chaotic period. So even though we're in this great chaos now, there's hope that we, meaning humanity, can move to a higher level. That this chart here, this attitudes of development, I would really encourage you to take a look at that, because it gives you a really good framework of understanding what's happening with humanity as they evolve. So with those that in mind, let me end with this little quote from this book, The Art of Peace. Your heart is full of fertile seeds waiting to sprout, just as a lotus flower springs from the mire to bloom splendidly. The interaction of the cosmic breath causes the flower of your spirit to bloom and bear fruit in this world. So that's pretty powerful. It's basically saying you have a lot to offer here to the world. So let's not forget that. So with that in mind, I wish you all a peaceful life and may we walk in beauty. It's always good to be with you. And as always, we're open to thoughts and comments and insights. dailypeacemaker.com, and that's where you can find on the resource page that chart. There's another one there too, I forget the name of it, that has a similar notion around it, looking at the development of the system of humanity. So walk in peace,